the last crescendo has wrapped up. That was a very long event. It is, yeah, one thing having such a stacked card on paper, multiple title fights, but, when you start to unpack that and lots of the fights go the full 12 rounds, most of those went the full 12 rounds. It's a long night. It's a really long night. And with it being on the other side of the world, it was a very early morning for me. Don't get me wrong, I loved watching it. I think it really delivered. That main event especially, those two fighters, Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol, you could just have them fight every week. Like, after spending 24 rounds in the boxing ring with each other, I don't feel like they're split. Like, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev are so neck and neck in terms of skill, heart, grit, athleticism. And look what it resulted in. Look at the two incredible fights that we got. This was, again, like the first fight, a big chess match, Artur Beterbiev changed his style a little bit and was a bit more aggressive early, which, don't get me wrong, really helped him and worked. But it's almost like when it got to the championship rounds, he had given his best work already. And there was a really interesting sort of few moments in that in those middle rounds where Bivol wasn't throwing the right hand, wasn't moving nearly as much, and it looked like that early pressure from Beterbiev, that early tenacity, bringing the fight to Bivol earlier than he did last time, was really working in his favour. And then Dmitry Bivol turned on. It was about the 8th round, I think, just looked like a different fighter. The movement was back, sitting down on that right hand, landing beautiful shots. Say what you want about either of these fighters, whoever you thought won, whoever your favourite is. This is a stylistic match made in heaven. Dmitry Bivol, for him to walk that tightrope again, eat the big shots and not get flustered, remain composed enough to stay in there. It's so impressive because Beterbiev, he's a fucking Terminator, man. And when that pressure starts going, when that ball starts rolling downhill, good luck stopping it. Dmitry Bivol did a fantastic job switching the momentum and taking the fight back into his terms. Because of that, he won. Got the majority decision on the judges' cards. One judge had it a draw. Actually scored it a draw as well, but on a second rewatch, I think you could probably find the rounds for Bivol. And like I said, you probably could find the rounds for Bivol in the first fight. But Beterbiev is so competitive with Bivol that every single round that they have are very close. Like, it was rare over the two fights where we had a round where you could really say this guy is the better fighter that round, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Turkey El Sheikh, the whole Saudis, bringing the fights that we want to see, let alone this fight, headlining the card in a rematch just months after the first one. Like, that is crazy in itself. But look at the rest of the card we have. Multiple world champions. And like I said, it was a really, really entertaining night of boxing, even if it was a 7 or an 8 hour event. So for these guys, do you do the trilogy next? It's so interesting because once that level of mystery is gone, I think, in the fight, how these styles are going to clash, I think a little bit of the intrigue is gone as well, because don't get me wrong, I would be more than excited to watch a third fight, and I would be very, very grateful if they were to deliver that. But just the general feeling, even coming into this second rematch, the hype wasn't as palpable in the air as it was for the first fight. And for the third fight, I think it would only go, that direction. We have trilogies where, look at the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy, for instance. Like, that trilogy had a lot more polar opposites and contrasting events. Like, Tyson Fury would do really well, and then Deontay Wilder would almost spark him. So there was always that level of, like, where is this going to go? And the fight can change at any moment. I think after seeing 24 rounds with these guys, we know it's like they're so neck and neck that what can they even employ in the third fight to really make that gap? Like Beterbiev is aging, he's 40 years old now, so it's like how can he change his style to have more success than he did over the first 24 rounds? Like both of these guys, yes, the work can get cleaner, and there's always things you can improve on. But in terms of the fan going in, and the fans getting excited for a trilogy, I think that's the thing that's lacking in terms of building that hype, because they are so close that it almost takes away from the fight in a way. Like, let me know what you guys think about that, because like I said, I'm very interested, and I think all of the purists are very interested in a third fight. But if you just look at the lay of the land from a more casual perspective, I think the sort of mystery and the question's been answered a little bit, so don't get me wrong, sign me up for that trilogy. I really hope they do it, and I hope they do it in the States, man, because for the sort of card the Saudis were able to pull off and put together, the actual event of it in that arena just felt a bit flat, man, like felt a bit hollow. So I think fights like that, deserve to have a crowd that really, really appreciates and cares for them, because at the end of the day, that's what these prize fighters are going out there to do. Obviously they're there to make money, but it's an entertainment sport, and the fans meeting the fighters halfway in that regard is not only very important, but actually contains a lot of the life of this beautiful sport. So yeah, that's the only sort of drawback, I think, for all of this money getting thrown at the sport. It takes away from the sort of character a little bit, the feeling at the event. Don't get me wrong, I am not complaining, because these fight cards are getting crazy, absolutely stacked. And for as great of a main event as we had, like, all the other fights were very entertaining. And for Joseph Parker, Martin Bakole, for instance, the co-main event, Bakole came in less than 2 days' notice, man. So for Turkey and, the rest of those guys to be able to plug and play like that, similar to the UFC's model, it's really interesting. And going forward, I cannot wait to see the sort of not only fights but cards they can produce. And I know we have Terence Crawford, Canelo. That's going to be a massive event. That one needs to be in the States, man. So many Mexican American boxing fans, and yeah, two absolute titans of our generation. I think that fight needs to happen in Las Vegas. Let me know what you guys think about the card. I had lots of fun. As someone who's only really delving deep into the world of boxing over the last few years, cards like this are such a great opportunity to not only watch the sweet science, but to learn about some fighters as well, like Virgil Ortiz Jr. I knew about Virgil and I'd seen some of his fights before, but that guy's one of my favorite boxers now after this event. Like, his style, how tight his punches are, his mentality in there, yeah, it's spectacular to see, man. And like I said, Shakur Stevenson showing out. He gets a lot of hate in this boxing world, but it was a great opportunity to get a bit of exposure to some fighters that you maybe wouldn't normally see as a casual boxing fan. So yeah, all positives, I think. Let me know what you guys thought about this card. And let me know what you guys think these fighters go next, because there's so many interesting storylines coming out of this card, especially with Joseph Parker. He's set himself up for a cracker next fight. What a career resurgence. Like, that's the same guy who Joshua beat. Feels like 10 years ago, man. Like, far out. For him to stay with it and to see where he's at now is incredible. So that's a great story coming out of this event as well. Joseph Parker, beautiful performance, and someone from this side of the world who I'm really, really interested to see get a fight against Usyk, or set that Dubois one up again, man, because the guy deserves a world title fight 100%. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate that, and we will chat soon.